mystic objects.
Greetings from Cyberdelic Space. This is Lorenzo, and I'm your host here in the Psychedelic Salon. Well, as I'm sure you already know, our psychedelic community lost one of its founding fathers, as Dr. Albert Hofmann, the discoverer of LSD, died yesterday. And for all of us, of course, this feels like a great loss. Even though Dr. Hofmann lived to be 102 years old, it's still difficult to accept the fact that he's gone. And my first impulse was to postpone today's program and do a special tribute to the good doctor. But then it dawned on me that the talk I'm going to play today, and the one I'd planned on playing all along, the one that was given by Anne and Sasha Shulgin at the 2005 Mind States Conference, is even more appropriate because, at least in my humble opinion, the only chemist in the last 100 years who is equal in stature to Dr. Hofmann is Dr. Alexander Shulgin, or Sasha as he prefers to be called. And I'll have some more to say about how and why I've come to that conclusion after we hear the Shulgins talk. But first I want to give my deep thanks to Eric K. and Kyle N., both of whom sent in donations to help offset the expenses of these podcasts. So a big thank you, Eric and Kyle. Your support means a lot to me and to a lot of other people all around this little planet. Now, getting to today's program, as I just mentioned, it's a talk given by Anne and Sasha Shulgin. And unless you are new to these podcasts, you are already aware that Sasha has undergone some major surgery recently. And by the way, thanks to all of you who have gone to the caringbridge.org/Sasha Shulgin site to leave your well wishes. Anne has been printing them out regularly and reading them to Sasha. So far, there have been over 200 people who have left a comment there, and I'd like to think that many of them are our fellow saloners. And since I know that you might be commuting to work right now and don't have access to the net, I'll read Anne's latest posting, which is from a couple of days ago. She says, "Sasha is getting better every day, but slowly. Not from my point of view, but from his. He's pretty tired by the end of the day and doesn't see why that should be so. We all get together and yell at him, in parentheses, not really, and then in all caps she writes, 'Sasha, you are repairing fantastically well. Please don't rush it. Remember, the doctor said 2 to 3 months, not 2 to 3 days.'" And then she continues, "In any case, he's back at work with Tanya on the book, which should be ready for editing within a few weeks. He's happiest when he can concentrate on the book, although the frustration of the macular degeneration gets pretty intense at times. After the book is turned over to the editors, he'll get back into the lab, with the help of Tanya and another very good friend who will help read labels and pour liquids from one beaker into another, etc. I'll keep updating every few days if you're still reading these notes. Blessings on all of you, and thank you, Anne." Now, one of the things that you may not be aware of, if you've only heard recordings of Sasha's talks but haven't been with him in person, is the fact that he has a truly great sense of humor and will tease you a bit if you aren't watching out for that zinger that he'll send your way every once in a while. So when you hear this talk in just a minute, it might be helpful to keep in mind that Sasha had a huge smile on his face during this entire session. Fortunately, Anne came to the rescue with that soft, beautiful, and ever so consoling voice of hers to keep things on track. And yes, to many of you who have written and asked for me to podcast more Anne Shulgin, I do plan on doing that soon. Right now, the only other recording I have of hers is one that has a loud air conditioner hum in the background, but I'm trying to get some more recordings and hope to pass them along to you as soon as I can. Now that I think of it, the request for more talks by Anne outnumbers those kinds of requests for anybody else, including Terence McKenna. And, sorry to say, even more than requests for Sasha. But today we're going to get them both in a similar setting to the one from my podcast number 53, which was in October of 2006, where they had the Ask the Shulgins Q&A sessions from Burning Man that year. And today's Q&A was actually held a year earlier at the Mind States Conference. Now, I'm going to warn you in advance that this session begins with what I consider some heavy-duty chemistry. And since I remember nothing from my 2 college chemistry courses, I don't grok the nuts and bolts of what they're saying. But it's quite obvious that these young chemists who are asking these questions aren't just doing so out of idle curiosity. These are the people who are now filling the shoes of Dr. Hoffman, and fortunately they have someone to ask these questions of who is equally as well informed about psychedelic chemistry as was Uncle Albert. And so if you're not a chemist yourself, instead of just tuning out the detailed questions and answers about chemistry, try to comprehend the fact that these chemists are looking at atomic structures, comparing them with other chemicals they know, and then not only speculating on what would happen if they move a single atom to another place, but actually build these new molecules and then test it on themselves. This is truly the great unknown, my friends, and these are the people who are opening the gates so that us non-chemists can go exploring. But please don't think it's all chemistry today. There are quite a few gems sprinkled in this unstructured Q&A session, including something I didn't know before about testing for some of the 2 C's. So let's begin with Susan Blackmore's introduction of Anne and Sasha.
Now, what on earth do I say? 2 years ago, I met Sasha and Anne for the first time, and I was so frightened isn't the right word, just kind of awed, and how can I introduce them? Well, you were all there, weren't you? But now I've met them and found that they're, well, human, in spite of all the amazing things they've done. I mean, surely there's no couple on the planet like this. Sasha, a chemist who has designed more drugs than anyone else on the planet, and both of them who... And both of them who have taken more drugs, more variety of drugs than anyone on this planet. And here they are surviving to tell the tale, not only surviving, but surviving wonderfully. And what courage they must have to just go into all of these things with an open mind, prepared to take the risks, which undoubtedly are great, determined to learn from it, to write their books, Pikal and Tikal, that tell us all about it, explain the chemistry, explain the experiences, and now here they are to answer your questions. So, thank you very much for coming again, and would you please, as before, if you want to ask a question, line up by the microphones, and off you go.
You have to make sure that, it's working. Hooray.
Does this one work too?
Yeah. Okay. Good. Hello.
How do you do?
Hi.
Do speak first if you want before we have the question.
Does anyone need a summary of who we are and what we do, or yes?
Why don't you explain, because you know better than I.
Okay. Oops. Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We've only got an hour. This gentleman, known as Sasha, is, I think at present, he's probably the world's top researcher in the effect of psychedelic drugs on human beings. Most people who deal in this area are using the drugs or experimenting on animals. And, there is in this field a term, LAB, I think it is.
LAB, right.
LAB, which means...
Lab experiments. LAB. It's short for large animal biochemistry.
Right. Large animal being human beings, yes. The thing we've also done at a certain point in the 80s, I think, Sasha published everything that he had discovered, and that included dosage levels and their effects in humans, etc., etc. He was publishing in the Journal of Medicinal Chemistry and other scientific journals who have peer review. But at a certain point, and I forget when was it that the lawyers for those journals got cold feet?
In the 1980s.